I want you to see something really cool. This here, I grafted in February, and we're coming up on the end of October. This was the piece of wood I grafted onto this wild Chickasaw plum. This is a nectarine scion, which I grafted in February before this thing woke up, just as it was starting to wake up. But take a look at this. There is 5 foot of growth from that little piece down here. That's what a rootstock can do for growth. You have an established rootstock already, that's the main tree, and I grafted this onto this little side shoot. If you have a tree that's already somewhat established and it's got a good root system and you graft on top of it, amazing things happen. And it is really cool that you can graft nectarines, peaches, and plums, and probably apricots onto our native wild Chickasaw plum. And I fully expect that this branch will be loaded with blooms and bearing nectarines this next year. So 1 year, I'll probably get a dozen or more nectarines, maybe even more, off of this little stick that I grafted in the spring. I want you to see something else that's really cool that I did with grafting. This here is a Shambhala loquat that I got from my friend Oliver Moore up in the Gainesville area. I grafted this on early this year in the spring, and it is blooming. The rest of this tree is not blooming. It's a different variety. It's a seedling. I don't exactly know what its pedigree is. It makes fruit that are pretty normal for loquat, kind of small, somewhat sour fruits until totally ripe. But this one here, you can see this is a different individual genetically, and it's taken advantage of this great big rootstock. See, this tree's been in here about 4 or 5 years, and it's decided it's going to bloom and it's going to make me some fruit. Shambhala is a really kind of a cool one. He named it, it probably came from another variety. He's not exactly sure where it came from, but it is known for blooming in the fall, through the winter, and then again into the spring, and often getting past the frosts by blooming multiple times. So if the frosts take the blooms and the fruit off, it usually goes ahead and blooms again, and usually will make you some fruit, unlike many loquats, which will bloom in the winter, and then if we get a late frost in the spring, they'll freeze off. This improved variety of loquat does an excellent job of giving you fruit no matter what, and the fruit is very good. We've tried it, and it's an excellent fruit. And it's just really cool to see how a little bit of grafting work in the 10 minutes it took me to pop that graft on, and I'm going to be getting fruit probably the same year, or maybe very early next year.